to the stream, everyone. How's everybody doing on this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Monday? How's everybody doing? We got so much going on. I can't even spend that much time going through it all. But what I can tell you is our Discord is up. The brand new Renegade Chungus Operations Center Discord channel is up and functioning. Daddy Jim, Andrew, how's everybody in the chat? Mitch, In Time's going to be in the house with us today. Hi, Lumi, BB, Pyro's in the house. We got a great panel lined up for us, but before that, I just wanted to give a plug out to our fundraiser we are supporting, Paige in Kansas, which I will bring up right here, right now. Paige in Kansas is currently in Ukraine handing off aid to the frontline soldiers. And gave us the brand new slogan for our channel, "We buy candy bars for snipers," which is probably the coolest thing I've ever heard. It's really easy. It's pinned in the top of the chat if you guys could. A donation, any amount, just put from Chungus's channel. I think we tapped out on the 14th Mechanized for everything they asked for. I will probably be picking up another drone fund for them. We did purchase them 2 drones, a bunch of medical supplies, sweets for the 47th. The snipers also got some candy bars. They've got medical supplies, everything that we could. Paige still has about $14,000 here of fundraising to do that we need to help her with. Yeah, so let's get as much to her as we can because she's an amazing person. She's helping a ton of people, including a Ukrainian woman who has cancer who needs medicine that is a widow and has a child. So there's more than just for frontline soldiers. There's the humanitarian aspect as well. Please donate and help if you can. And that is it on the plug for that. Yes, Discord. Let me get back to... Okay, it's all pinned in there. That's what I got for that, guys. We're going to get into a lot. Here's the little imagery I made for our new slogan. Renegade Chungus Ruth. We buy candy bars for snipers. I'll make a short on that too. My chat destroyed me that night. They absolutely destroyed me. I was cracking. It was supposed to be a very somber stream, and they ended up cheering me up pretty good. So that's that. Yeah. So with no further ado, let's get to the panel. We're gonna discuss a little bit. We got a special guest from Ukraine, Natalia. I want to talk to her a little bit. What's going on? We have Kim from California, from a volunteer from the Sunflower Society. And we have Nick from In Time Independent News. So let's pull them on over. Let me cut the music, yeah? Cut the music. Music is cut. Okay, pulling you guys on over. And I'm going to switch over my camera feed to them as well. Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Hello, hello.
All right.
Hello.
Okay, let me get my camera going.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
All right. Well, let's start with introductions. Let's start with the new guest, Natalia.
Hi, guys. My name is Natalia. I'm a journalist, and I live in Kyiv, and I'm in Kyiv right now. This super early morning.
Natalia was a trooper and got up at 6 a.m. for this, guys. So show her some love in the chat if you could. Nick, let's hear a little bit about yourself.
My name is Nick Suter. I am the host of In Time. We are a news and educational show. We've got a number of programs, In Time, Downtime, and we cover Ukraine and other newsworthy things going on around the world, but we definitely, Ukraine is obviously very, very important, and we do our best to cover it as well and accurately as possible.
All right, Kimberly.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Kimberly, and I'm from the Sacramento area. I'm a volunteer for the Sunflower Society of Sacramento. We do rallies for Ukraine on the 24th of every month at the Sacramento State Capitol at 7 p.m. Come check us out if you're in the area, or check out any rallies in your area too. It's important we show up. I also run a political action page on Facebook, and it's called Political Action for Ukraine, North California. But anybody can join. We're revamping the page right now as things are heating up, and we'd love to see you there.
All right, sweet guys. All the information for everybody is going to be pinned in our description. It is currently there now. And plus, you can find all the info. We'll put it in a spot on Discord as well. So make sure to join the Discord. Let's hand it off. I really want to hear to Natalia since she got up super early. I'm sure there's other things she'd love to be doing right now, like hugging a pillow.
Actually, it's not a big problem if you live in Ukraine, and usually, or okay, often you've been wake up with the like loud sounds, and they are not alarm clock. So it's not that bad to wake up at 6, just to talk to people.
So speaking of that, how has it increased over the last few months from how it has been through the last few years?
Well, I think the better to talk about this is in number of drones. I mean, it's really easy to understand. For example, if 2 years ago, when the Russians just started to use drones, in 2023, it's been like half year since they started to launch drones. It was like, I don't know, like few drones per night or per day. This Iranian made jihad drones. So this weekend, this Sunday, I mean, the night from Saturday to Sunday, so it's from May 31st to June 1st, they have launched like almost 400 drones. It is an absolute record. And the vast majority of them are strike drones. So now they also use like decoy drones, so just to exhaust our defense system. Like, I mean, literally, just so we should use more bullets, more guns, more weapons to just for nothing. But the majority of them are attacking drones. So when they attack something, like a huge explosion happens. Like it just looks like it's just a drone, but it's not just a drone. It's a big, like, pretty huge thing, and it can destroy a private house or a few private houses. Just one drone, and like badly damage multi-story residential house. But I have to tell you, this night was pretty quiet in Kiev. But I checked the news, and there were attacks, for example, in Chernihiv. It's a regional city north from Kyiv. It's relatively close to the border with Russia and Belarus. And overnight, some drones caused some damage there. So it's like normal life in Ukraine, which is not normal.
Are people starting to respond to the air alerts more now than they did in the past? Because I know for a long time it was sort of just the common occurrence. Do you think more people are going to the shelters and going to cover now?
It really depends. On the one hand, you get used to this. I mean, it's not okay, and it's hard to get used sometimes. But on the other hand, it depends on the level of attack. We have many chats. We have some applications, so we have many channels of information, and people check the information, the incoming information, and they like make this decision if to go somewhere on a shelter or not. For example, we like last week we had a pretty huge attack on Kyiv, combined attack both with missiles and drones. So I know that a lot of people were hiding in metro, because it's like the most common, the most usual place where to hide. Some people go to shelters, although we don't have like really many of them. But I know a lot of people, including myself, who don't go anywhere for many reasons. First of all, if you have attacks every other night, you literally just want to sleep in a proper bed. You just literally want to sleep. It's like the primer thing you want to do. It's like your primary wish and need. Second, it's not always available to go somewhere. For example, I live in an area where there is no metro station where to hide. And I'm not sure if I have a proper shelter, if it's open or so. Um, so sometimes I just go to a corridor, like, and trying to stay behind the walls. So I mean, literally, it's a decision of people.
Oh man, that sounds tough. Yeah, and I understand. Some people will go, some people won't go. I would imagine with the increased air raids that more people would want to go. Um, what do you think the change in strategy? Why do you think Russia is changing their strategy and just increasing the drone capabilities right now? What do you think is the major cause for that, other than just being a horrific country right now?
I think actually the reason is the same as it was before. They just try to terrorize Ukraine. They just try to break us down. I mean, the morality of Ukrainians, whatever you call it. Um, maybe they accept, maybe they expect, sorry, that I don't know, like Ukrainians will decide to push on the government, on Zelensky, and tell him, okay, give it all up and give them the land, give them what they want. Let's just stop this. But I mean, after 3.5 years of war, we know that it's not going to happen. There is no miracle that will stop the Russians. There's just armed forces of Ukraine that will stop the Russians. Um, yeah, I guess something like that. So I mean, I don't see that there is any good reason they changed their tactics. They just try to exhaust people and to exhaust air defense system. Partially, that's what I told before, that they use decoy drones. So they just super cheap drones with nothing inside, but it's hard to understand. Um, for air defense, sometimes for people it's hard to understand, is it a real drone? So they just anyway try to jam it or to shoot it. In this manner, the Russians exhaust our defense system, air defense system.
Right, so they're just trying to overwhelm it. So Russia throughout history has sacked Ukraine, has committed genocides and war atrocities throughout, as far as I can research back that I've noticed. When you say that Ukraine needs to defeat Russia, other than getting all the troops out of Ukraine, do you think the Russian people will get involved in the end of this war? Do you think they'll have an uprise, or do you think they have the capabilities to speak up against their government anymore, or to put pressure on Putin at all?
Oh, that's quite a tough question, to be honest. Because if I want to be objective, let's say more or less objective and neutral, I would say that I believe there are some good Russians who understand the situation, who want like like normal democracy, normal things, normal development of their country. As a Ukrainian, I'm super emotional, and that's actually a problem of every Ukrainian, especially in communication with foreigners. We are super emotional, but it's just because we live in this and we care about the situation that is happening here. So, as a Ukrainian, I think that Russian people like do not understand the situation and they don't want to change. And I know that there is a pretty famous Ukrainian guy. He's a blogger and he speaks to Russian people over I don't know, like video chat or whatever. And he is a historian and he tries to explain them the real situation on a very simple, levels. And they don't want to accept it. They don't want to hear it. So they just think that Ukraine is, I don't know, something like non-existent country, non-existent people, and that Russia protects Russia from Ukraine uh, with this war. Mm, so honestly, I don't see a lot of optimism here, unfortunately.
So do you think this last huge operation, Project Spiderweb or Operation Spiderweb, do you think that had an impact on the Russian people to maybe wake them up and say, hey, maybe Russia isn't so safe anymore? Because over here, the news is buzzing with it, at least in my little echo chamber of a circle of pro-Ukrainian channels. The news is big on this. That was one of the most decisive and intelligent and cunning attacks I have ever even heard of, let alone witnessed. It was the most cunning attack I've ever witnessed. What's the mood like over there, and what impact do you think it has on the Russian people? I don't care if they're pissed. I want to know your opinion of whether or not they might be a little more afraid of what's going on now.
That's a good question. And yeah, likewise, I've never seen or witnessed or heard anything like that. I mean, I think it's even cooler than Mossad's operation with pagers, though it was like a really cool thing. But I mean, this one, what's cool about this operation? I mean, the again, the best thing to explain it maybe for people who don't know is that the Ukrainians use just 117 just usual FPV drones. It's like very small, this regular drone that costs like a few $100s, up to $1,000 the top. And so let's calculate, it's like $100,000 or so. And they managed to destroy Russian bombers, strategic bombers, so like bomber jets, on stated on the airfields. And the SBU, Ukrainian Security Service, they claimed that they destroyed 41 jets in total presumable amount of $7 billion. So just to compare, $100,000 and $7 billion. So I will answer your question. I remember about your question. But it's not the most important thing, because it's hard to calculate. It's not really correct to talk about numbers, to be honest, because the main issue is that they destroyed the jets that can bomb Ukraine with missiles. SBU claims that they destroyed like 1/3 of Russian power, like of bombers. And what is more important, that they were pretty old, so they don't produce them. No one produces them anymore. So they can't repair, they can't replace. And that's the biggest success of this operation. Coming back to your question about Ukrainian and Russian perception of this operation. Ukrainian mood was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Everyone was cheering up. I promise you, I was cheering up. My friends, my colleagues, I don't know, everyone, we were cheering up. Like it was pretty much going the same time, because usually SBU or any other Ukrainian services, or they just exact an operation, and like maybe next day they tell about some results of this, because they need to check it, right? This time they were like, okay, now we are doing this operation right now. Like it was not stream like here, but it was pretty close in time. So it made you feel like you were there at the same time. And we were getting videos from Russia, like pretty soon. Thank you, Russians. They help us a lot to get these videos. Yeah. About Russians, I'm really not sure. Again, I'm sorry, but again, I'm really not sure that they changed their opinion, that they started to afraid. Maybe some people who live there, like around that area, like who witnessed the situation, who felt it on their own skin. I'm really not sure that other people in Russia, they felt it the same way. Because how it works, they have TV, and there is a speaking head on TV, and this head tells like what happened. And I think that I don't watch Russian TV, so it's just my assumption that this speaking head told them that, oh, bad Ukraine. They attacked us, and we have to be even more angry on Ukraine. Something like that. So I have no idea, to be honest. What I listen to many experts, and I still have no idea what can change Russian minds.
Yeah, you're referring to RT News host Solovev, I'd imagine, and his.
But maybe if the power of small steps or big steps like that, that operation, maybe sometime it will change.
Yeah, I think another factor in that as well. These are military targets the Ukrainians are hitting. They're not hitting civilian targets like the Russians are. So
Exactly. It was completely military target. I mean, if those were military jets that usually launch missiles, so I mean, it's one of the most military targets. It's not even a plant that produces them. It's like literally weapons. They targeted weapons. What can be more military target than weapons?
I agree. Nick, do you have any
And the,
questions for? Sorry.
and the opposite that day, next night, and every other night, the Russians target just civilian targets. I don't know if this is intentional thing that they target civilian like locations, like overnight in Chernihiv that I told you before, or they just have really bad weapons and they miss. I don't know.
So that was my
That's
initial impression from the beginning of the war. Was I asked myself. I remember very clearly when I saw the first rocket hit an apartment and I heard children crying. I asked myself, why are they using unguided munitions? And I just didn't realize the brutality behind the Russian army and the Russian country, and their whole mentality and culture. It was very uncivilized what I saw, and I thought they were more civilized of a culture. And shame on me for being so ignorant to that. I am 100% confident these strikes are targeted to cause fear and chaos for the civilian population to push back, like you said, against President Zelensky. 100% in my mind. Nick, did you have any questions for Natalia? I'm going to look at the chat here for just a second.
Yeah, so I was wondering what are I know you can't speak for all of Ukraine, but in your estimation, living there, what's the sense of Zelensky having these peace talks and his relationship with Donald Trump?
regarding peace talks. Um, if you remember, I believe you remember, there was the first like big round of talks in 2022, pretty much immediately after the full-scale invasion started. And at the time, people didn't believe that it will help, the negotiation will help, the talks will help. But anyway, Zelensky had to show first of all, to the people of Ukraine that at least he tried. He made an attempt to speak to negotiate with the Russians. Of course, it failed for a good reason, because there is no point to talk to Russians who attacked you. I think it's pretty much the same this time. So, I mean, in general, I don't see that, at least at the moment, that these talks that happened twice already in Istanbul during the last couple of weeks, and the last round was just yesterday. So I believe that I believe, and like a lot of people that I know and I hear, they don't believe that these talks will lead to something like big. We can't even achieve as a proper ceasefire, but there is a good thing after these talks. After the first round of these talks that happened in Istanbul on May 16, we returned 1,000 of Ukrainian prisoners of war. People are above. People are always on the first place. So this is a really good thing that the Ukrainian team managed to make this swap and to return 1,000 Ukrainians back to Ukraine and gave Russia their own people, the same 1,000. And this time, It's going to be pretty much the same. We don't know all the details. Like last time, we also didn't know all the details for some time. But we know that there should be a swap, and the Ukrainian side, they want to return some amount of Ukrainian children that were abducted by Russian authorities, Russian people, Russian regime. About Zelensky and Trump, okay, how should I say polite something about your president?
You don't
I
have
don't
to
want
stay.
to. Yeah, I don't want to speak for somebody else's audience, but my suspicion is that you do not need to concern yourself with politeness when it comes to Donald
Well,
Trump.
it's still, it's hard to understand. I mean, it's just very sad that President Trump still believe that he can be friends with Putin and that Putin can be friends with anyone. I mean, I expected him to be just more smart and to understand things better. I know that it might be flattering to feel that you are friends with like the most powerful man in the world or whatever. I don't know. I just can't imagine any reason why would I like to be a friend with Putin. Just for me, he's like a weak guy who just tries to, I don't know, like to establish himself with just stupid power, with killing people. It's not how you prove that you're a cool guy. Do like good things, do big things, and then you will be like a cool guy. Then you will be remembered. Okay, for example, Churchill is not like the perfect figure. He has a lot of things on both hands. But at the end of the day, he seems to be like a very big figure on the political arena. Even now, even after like decades, he's not perfect, but we respect him for what he did. He did more better than bad things.
Mm.
Okay, Putin, there is nothing to say good about him. So I think if Trump wants to be a good president, to look like a good president, he has all the chances to do that. Just act, not just play golf. Act, do things that presidents should do. I mean, last night I watched the last Mission Impossible, and there was a president who acted. It was a fake president. It was just a movie, but she acted.
Yeah.
So just do things, just act. Sorry, I told you I'm emotional.
It's funny you mentioned
Good
Mission
answer.
Impossible. When I saw that Operation Spiderweb, it reminded me of something off of Mission Impossible 100%.
I believe they mentioned Spider-Net or so in this movie. I mean, it was something different, but I was, oh, nice.
My favorite, though, of the whole spider net is when the drone, you see the drone is going in for a kill, and oh no, that plane's already on fire. I'll go on to the next. Oh, that one just blew up. Nope, I'm going to go on to the next. Oh, that one's on fire. And finally finds a plane that's not on fire to hit. I just love it. Oh.
Yeah, that was an amazing show.
Kim, do you have anything for Natalia?
Yeah, I was just wondering, here we have a lot of immigrants from Ukraine in the Sacramento area. I think we're the third largest settlement of Ukraine's in the United States. And I know they are so tired of fighting, but they still continue to fight for Ukraine. So my first question is, I have two questions. My first question is, here we want to fight till the end, where Ukraine gets all the land back, all the children back, all the POWs back. But how is the mood in Ukraine about, are they ready to give up land? Or they just, I'm sure they're so exhausted. My second question is, how do Ukrainians feel about the average American? Like, do they see that we still support them? We did just have a poll that came out that was like, I think it was 71% of Americans still support Ukraine. So I'm just wondering if the Ukrainian people, realize that most of America does still support them.
Okay, thank you for the questions. So answering your first question about, sorry, it's super early morning. About if Ukrainians are ready to go to the end. Of course, it depends on people, on each other person. But if we come to polls, like you mentioned your own poll, and we have some polls here as well. So according to these polls, the majority of Ukrainians, I really don't remember the numbers, I'm sorry, but I remember that the top answer is go to the end, till the end. A lot of people, they still believe that if we give Putin, for example, 4 regions that they dream about, and they mentioned this in Istanbul talks, once again, that Putin will step back. Just to explain, he will not. He will not. Because if a bully comes to your house and he asks you, he demands you to give him, I don't know, all your money, and you give him all your money, he would not step back. He would oh my God, that's easy. I want more. Why would I stop on this money? I want more. I want something maybe physical. I want your jewelry. I want to live in your house at the very end. If it's easy to gain, so why not? So we have to make it hard to gain. I believe that we have to continue to fight. Of course, it's easy for me to talk. I'm here in Kyiv, which is relatively safe, and I'm not in the army. I'm not on the front line, so it's really easy for me to talk, like just to chit chat. But I try to do everything I can to support the army, the Ukrainian society, to keep to go on. I hope I answered your question in general. So
Yeah.
it depends on people, but and a lot of people believe that it's true that if we give up something, so it will help. But the majority of people do not believe in this, and they want Ukrainian armed forces and Ukrainian government to go the same way they go now. So the second question, yeah, I remember, but I don't. Sorry. Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, no problem. I just want to say, first of all, like we
About
will continue to,
Americans, right?
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, and we will continue to fight until the end. And I have family in Finland, and so it's very, very important to me. They're also fighting and bringing stuff to soldiers and everything. It's so important to us. So we will be here till the end. But yeah, my second question was, do Ukrainians know that the American people, not our administration, but the American people, that we support you guys over Russia?
If you talk to people like in general, so sometimes it's hard to separate, administration from people, because usually people just use the word America, whatever it means when they speak. I can speak for myself. I'm a big Instagram user, mostly reader or scroller or whatever. And my Instagram is very political, trying to be very political. There are cats and politics, because I need to relax. And it just happened that, I don't know, Instagram decided that they have to be involved in American political life. I don't know, here in Ukraine, in Kyiv, I know a lot about American people reaction on political situation and issues in US. So I really see that a lot of American people, they understand the situation. I mean, not just about Ukraine, but about Trump's administration in general, about a huge number of wrong decisions, of unpopular decisions, of decisions that can't be accepted by society, because I mean, they just don't understand. Uh, I have no idea. Maybe in some far future, there will be some good impact of these decisions. But at the moment, me and people from Instagram, um, we don't see we don't see any good results or any good ideas in these decisions. So I see that a lot of American people, they understand the situation, including the situation here in Ukraine. And the biggest, the top point of this was at the moment, I believe it was in February, right? When Trump said that it was Ukraine that attacked Russia, not the opposite. That was the key moment. Because nothing breaks you that much as when you understand that some person lies you about what you know for sure. It's like so painful. I saw foreign people here that I know and who've been here on when the full-scale invasion began. So they witnessed all the first launches, the first missiles, all of the first artillery. And when they heard it, they were outraged. Because, I mean, it became personal for them because they witnessed how the war started. And then some guy tells them, no, that's not true. That's quite the opposite. So at that point, I saw that American society rised and they became active and they were very active in comments. Like below, for example, posts, news posts, or they created their own videos with explanation of the situation. So I would really like to hope that a lot of Ukrainian people, they understand that people and administration are different things. And I know that there are people who understand that these are different things. And I know American volunteers who work here or who serve here in armed forces. So it's not that I just feel this support. I know it exists. So thank you for all.
Yeah. Well, I can
all
tell
this.
you, I've been to quite a few of the planned protests where we're protesting in every state, multiple protests. And the ones in our area, especially, average Americans are coming out, and there's so many Ukraine flags. And I speak to these people about how they've just been watching this at home and they want to come out and like stand up for Ukraine. And I feel there's so much support when I look at other protests about the Trump administration. You know, I'm seeing Ukraine flags in every single one. So just know that there's so many more people that support you here, and we're doing our best. We're going to fight really hard.
Thank you so much. I mean, it means a lot. It means a lot because what makes us people is that we care about
Yes,
things that happen here around us, in our family, with our friends, in our country, but also in the world. The world is not that big as it seems.
that's right. That's right. And bring those children home.
Yeah.
Every child in the world is our own children. So, yeah, we're here for you.
Well, I gotta thank you, Natalia, for coming out. I know it's super early there, and you
It's not that early anymore.
you drug yourself out of bed to come join us. I really appreciate you coming. Is there anything you want to end it with?
I want to thank you. That was actually a really nice conversation, despite the super early. It was super early morning time. But I liked you all, and I hope I was helpful to you and to some people that are watching this stream or will watch it later. I hope I explained some things that maybe the audience didn't know. And have a good day. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely,
Nice to meet
Natalia.
you.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, guys. And
Thank
just
you so much.
for the end.
Oh, I love it.
Absolutely.
I love that.
100%.
It's a gift from my friend from Poland.
Yeah,
It's not exactly Ukrainian thing.
we've got similar ones here, but I don't have the F Putin yet. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you for coming, and I hope to see you again for sure.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, that was really nice to have guest Natalia on from Ukraine giving us an update on the feel of the weather of the drone strikes, the increase in it, the Operation Spiderweb. Good to feel, good to know, good to kind of hear from firsthand source because she lives there, what the feeling is, to get kind of a understanding of what's going on. And we don't have many options other than fundraising and pushing for legislative majors here in the United States. We do have a bill that we're going to be talking about here that we can push for, and we need to push for because it's the best thing we got right now, as far as that can go through the Senate and the House and get into law. And Kim's going to talk more about what's going on with that. Kim, if you could.
Yeah. I just want to start really quick on how important it is to advocate for Ukraine right now in Congress. And there's so much you can do besides calling your Congress member. But I also want to share other ways that you can all get involved from anywhere in the United States. You don't have to have a background in politics, you just have to care a lot. So the first one is that I suggest checking out is Razom for Ukraine and the political action they do. If there's a potential call to action, they will let you know immediately. The second one is the American Coalition for Ukraine. They organize the Ukraine Action Summit. And if you can get involved in this, we need people. Basically, what happens is people go to DC twice a year. There's one coming up in October, at the end of October, and they hold meetings with representatives. And so you can do this from home. You can do like a Google Meet with your representative, and people will come in and help you do the meeting if you're not so confident talking about legislation. But you need to be there because you're a constituent in the district. So there's many districts that go without these meetings. So it's really important to get involved. Again, that's the American Coalition for Ukraine. And now I will talk about two bills. So hopefully I won't bore you guys. It's a lot of legislation, but I just want to go over them really quickly. So the first one is recognizing Russian actions in Ukraine as genocide. Now, this bill probably won't pass, but there's a good message that we need to send to Congress right now. So this piece of legislation is called a resolution, and that means if it passes, it will become a statement of the United States. So really no other action, but it's a very important statement. So in the House of Representatives, the bill number is H.RES.16. So that's House Resolution 16. This dropped on January 6th of this year by Rep. Steve Cohen from Tennessee. He's a Democrat. But this is a bipartisan bill, and it has 18 co-sponsors currently. Only 3 of these are Republican, but we can kind of make a change there. The Senate bill is S.RES.72. So that's Senate Resolution 72. It has 21 co-sponsors. This is a bill that was dropped in February of 2023, but it's getting new life by the House bill that was dropped this year. So an overview of the genocide bill, recognizing Russian actions in Ukraine as genocide. It states, whereas the Russian Federation's illegal, premeditated, unprovoked, and brutal war against Ukraine includes extensive, systematic, and flagrant atrocities against the people of Ukraine. and the Article 2 of the Convention of the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide was entered into force in 1951 here. It defines genocide as any of the following acts committed with the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group, such as killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, and forcefully transferring children of the group to another group. And I think you can agree, like, we've seen these things in Ukraine. So we are seeing genocide. So the United States has sided with Russia in the United Nations vote in regards to the invasion this year in February, March, and in April. The latest was against a UN General Assembly resolution condemning Russian aggression against Ukraine. And this is so crazy to me, for us to align with Russia. So we need to ask Congress members to co-sponsor this resolution. And this is why we want to put a spotlight on these bills to make a statement. We want to live in reality where we recognize the obvious genocide that is happening in Ukraine with the current climate. These bills may not hit the floor, but remember, if we tolerate the continuation of propaganda, we are allowing it to inch forward and thrive. So we must speak up, especially if there's legislation for this issue. We want to stand by those in Congress that are writing these bills, so they will continue to do so, because that's really important. When people are writing these bills and nobody stands up behind them, they kind of don't want to speak up after that,
Yeah, that shocked me too. Like you were saying, when we aligned with Russia in the UN, there were nations in there that were absolute dictatorships that didn't align with it. And it was like, what the hell is this sort of political ploy? What are we doing? And it blew my mind. And I there was no sense, rhyme or reason to it unless Donald Trump himself said, do this or else. Like, that was the only thing that I could have thought would have caused that to happen. Thoughts?
Right. I mean, we're aligning ourselves with North Korea. They're voting the same way as the United States right now. So, I mean, we kind of need to speak up as American citizens what we want.
Nick, what do you think the reason for that was that we aligned?
Donald Trump has the sole say in what happens at the UN in terms of our representative. He assigns our representative to the UN, and that representative operates as instructed by the president, who, by the way, is actually not in charge of our. It's Congress that negotiates treaties with other countries, not the president of the United States, but it's the president of the United States that controls our diplomatic, gives instructions to the diplomats across the world, including but not limited to the UN. So it was Trump. Trump just said, "This is what you're going to do."
Right. And we need to say, this is not what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's concerning, because I'm still not completely bought off the whole Krasnov story, because his behavior is still showing very shallow, and he's showing a lot of contention. So I don't feel confident yet that he has not been compromised in the past. He's been compromised. Whether he is knowingly compromised or not is another question. But he is absolutely compromised. The amount of money that he owes the Bank of Moscow through Deutsche Bank, I want to say it's 21 billion that he owes Moscow, the Bank of Moscow, which is controlled by Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin signed off on all that. Deutsche Bank was not going to give him the money unless it was backed by another bank. Bank of Moscow was the only bank that would do it. No bank in the U.S. would do it because he declared so many bankruptcies. They knew how many bankruptcies he declared. He didn't care, and he doesn't have to pay those back. He has not paid back. He may have paid some of it back. To the best of my knowledge, he hasn't paid back any of even the interest on the loans from Deutsche Bank
and it's Putin that's paying off the loans. So all that is money in his pocket. Yeah, he's an agent, either knowingly or not.
Wouldn't it be in his best interest to crush his debt by siding with Ukraine? I mean, if he's not going to pay, he's not going to pay. What financial impact would that have to him?
I think he's concerned about. I genuinely do not put it above Putin to assassinate the president of the United States. I don't put it above him doing that. I think he also genuinely does admire Putin. So I think he doesn't want to, screw Putin. I think he likes the idea that I think he feels in control. He feels like he is so smart and so powerful. He was able to get this murderous Putin, who has literally, he worked for the KGB, murdered people in Germany with his bare hands. And this guy's giving me money. It makes him feel good to be on that side. It's almost like a 12-year-old in Little Italy who knows the Don, and the Don kind of likes the kid, so plays up the role when the kid is there. So the kid shows up and is like, oh, people respect you. People, yes, and I respect you, and you're a good little boy. Oh, thank you so much, Don. And then, he goes off. He's got a mafioso mindset, but he's 12 years old.
Kim, thoughts on that?
Oh, sorry. I got distracted by Anthony, unfortunately, my son.
No, that's fine. I feel the same way.
I missed the last couple minutes. I'm sorry.
I feel the same way that he has some hero worship with Putin as well. I would not be surprised if he's being lightly blackmailed by some of his past engagements over there, especially in regards to the beauty pageants that he was hosting over there. What was happening behind the scenes, what dirt did they have on him, because he was there for quite many times doing some less than honorable things.
He's been on the Epstein plane more than once too. So but Putin does something that people do not give him enough credit for, and it's dangerous to not give. He is probably one of the single best spy masters in living memory. And he knows how to run propaganda. He knows how to counter propaganda. He knows how to get blackmail, compromat. They all know, but this guy grew up in the KGB. And there is very little that he does not understand about applying pressure points to people. And he's immensely dangerous in that way. The military is not the biggest problem with Russia. The biggest problem with Russia is how they control people's minds. And if you don't believe me, Tim Pool was made a member of the press corps after they kicked out the Associated Press. Tim Pool was part of the White House press corps. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember. Believe me, I remember. He stole my beanie idea because I like wearing beanies in the winter. Now I can't wear a beanie anymore just because I refuse to because of him. God.
He's in the press corps. Donald Trump said, okay, we're kicking out the Associated Press and we're putting in that guy.
Yeah.
Who was getting paid by Russia, was getting money from Russia. He didn't know it. So we'll be honest about that, but Russia knows what it's doing.
$400,000, I believe, an episode, wasn't it, for 1 month?
Yeah.
Or 4 episodes. 4 episodes.
Now that he's in the press corps, he's got an even louder microphone. And it's not that Russia is sitting there telling him what to say. It's that they picked him out and said, this guy already says what we want said, and amplified him to the point where he is now heard over the Associated Press.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
So amplifying Russian voices. I remember when he flipped too the next day when the DOJ released the charges. The next day on his X account, he put up Ukrainian flag and said Slava Ukraini. Right in his he was such a little weasel. God, he's the worst person possible to put in the press corps. Absolutely. Either that and Benny Johnson. I mean, absolutely just atrocious. I was kind of surprised it wasn't Benny Johnson, because he's a little less hot on the mic as far as his demeanor goes. But yeah, Trump likes that. He likes the tough guy sort of atmosphere.
Well, and yes, he does, and he likes it. I mean, he likes the brown nosing, and I haven't seen too many on the right, but Tim Pool is one of the ones I've seen, and he knows what he's doing, and he's actually reasonably charming. it doesn't seem that way because we know everything he's saying is utter horse shit. So, when he talks utter horse shit, you're sitting there going like, who the fuck is this guy? But if you don't know that what he's saying isn't true, then he actually comes off as charming.
Now, Kim, do you know if we're going to have a revote on aligning with Russia again? Do they go for a revote on that, or is that set in stone for the record?
I think it's set in stone for the record, but I can find out that information for you.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if the weather changes there with Trump coming out and speaking against Putin, whether or not he wants to switch his political pressure, if he's just completely cucked on him. It would be interesting to see. What other? Go ahead.
If it was a oh Jesus, and I have to remember the procedures for. But I mean, that one is set in stone. They can have another vote, but I don't think they need to have another vote because the vote passed. It was not by the Security Council, so it's not something where we had veto power. We just voted against, so it wasn't a resolution. It was it's like a non-binding statement made by. So we are now on the record for, and unless they want to make the statement again, but since it passed, I don't think there's any need. At least that's if memory serves.
God,
yeah.
One thing we need to erase out of our history.
Yeah.
Right.
That list is getting longer fast.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a list of cringe. Like, we'll have a book of cringe in our history, and that's going to be highlighted on there for sure. It's super cringy moment. What other legislation do we got that we got to be concerned about where you feel like we can be super impactful right now, Kim?
Yeah, so the Sanctioning Russia Act of 2025, this is a, let's see. So this is a bipartisan bill, and there's a duplicate bill in the House and the Senate. So the Senate bill is S1241. And this is by Lindsey Graham, Republican from South Carolina. And I want to point out that there are 80 co-sponsors on this bill. So 80, so that's well over half the Senate, because remember, the Senate only has 100 members, so 2 senators per state.
Right.
And only 12 Republicans have yet to sign. So the House bill is HR 2548. But again, you only need to remember the Sanctioning Russia Act of 2025. I called my representative's office today, and they're all talking about it. They told me they're all talking about it in the halls. So, I mean, they are considering it. But the House has only 33 co-sponsors with only 15 Republican signatures. So we definitely need to get more co-sponsors on that. So this doesn't mean that the support for Ukraine is gone in the House. There are a few factors why many have not signed. Trump has been struggling to do peace talks, which isn't going well. Things paused to see what happens with that. And the House just got done with Trump's big, beautiful bill, which took up a lot of space. And House members have also spent a week in district and just came back today. So hopefully we'll see more signatures. So this is a good opportunity to pick up the phone and make these calls about this bill. And then, the other exciting news about this is Rep. Fitzpatrick is starting a discharge petition that, and if you remember from last year, when aid wasn't hitting the House floor, they started 2 discharge petitions. And this basically means, it's so confusing, the discharge petition. I still haven't wrapped my head around exactly how it works, but it basically forces the bill on the floor to a vote. So like Speaker Johnson, who has been a thorn in everybody's side, can't really stop it. It's really hard to stop So anyway, that's exciting. That should come out this week. So please look on the news, look for this, because we'll have to start calling and asking them to also sign the discharge petition to get this on the floor. So the Sanctioning Russia Act of 2025, the overview of the bill is to impose sanctions and other measures with respect to the Russian Federation if the government of the Russian Federation refuses to negotiate a peace agreement with Ukraine, violates any such agreement, or initiates another military invasion of Ukraine, and they just put for other purposes. So basically, what this means is we can apply strong sanctions to the Russian Federation if they don't work to stop the invasion. Will not only pressure Russia to come to the table for peace talks, but it also kind of gives Trump a bargaining tool for negotiations, which will help him and make him feel really special, you know? It can also be used as a long-term tool to inhibit future violations or invasions of Ukraine. They can even go on to say they even go on to say the United States will provide a security assistance to Ukraine, which I found really interesting. This is in Section 2 of the bill. Number 2, in order to prevent another military invasion or act that undermines the sovereignty of Ukraine following a negotiated peace, it should be the policy of the United States to provide sustainable levels of security assistance to Ukraine to provide a credible defensive and deterrent capability. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what they mean, what kind of security assistance they will provide. But I find that part really interesting. So what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Nick. Oh, can't hear you.
Wouldn't be me if I wasn't muted at least once. I think the bill is interesting. My concern about security is that the language is reasonably malleable. The Budapest Accords guaranteed security consideration or something like that, not guaranteed security, which is how we manage to, in theory, stay in line with the memorandum, despite the fact that we haven't actually entered. So I'm going to go back and look at the text in a second because I want to read that part again. In many ways, the bill contains sort of a wish list of what you would want to ultimately stop Russia. So I'm thankful for that.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So I also want to point out a few of the sanctions they speak about in this bill, just a rough overview. So this covers financial trades, transfers of funds and investments to individuals and governments that help the Russian Federation, sanctions on goods and services from Russia and other countries that support them, and it will prohibit energy exports to Russia and investments in the Russian energy sector, placing duties on countries that purchase Russian oil or Russian origin oil, uranium, petroleum products. And let's not forget, like, this is what runs their war.
So the uranium part's kind of curious to me. I'm wondering who the number one importer of Russian uranium is.
We haven't gotten to that part yet. That's where it gets interesting. Right now, we've gotten to the part of importing to them or exporting to Russia. A number of people import uranium from Russia. I don't know who's sending it to Russia, but Russia exports uranium to the EU, including Germany. They imported $275 million worth of uranium to Germany last year because Germany, when it agreed to get off of the gas coming from Russia, decided to go nuclear, but in order to get their plants back up, they needed uranium. So they've been importing uranium from Russia along with liquid gas. But that isn't relevant until we get to section 17.
Yeah,
that's my concern.
I just Google it. It says the largest importer of Russian uranium is the United States.
Yeah,
of course.
Well, I like this bill a lot, but it's got extraordinarily serious problem when we get to, I think it's Section 17, but I can wait. I think we should wait and continue with what's good about the bill, because there's a lot that I like about it.
Circling back to the security agreements, what security agreements are they talking for? Are they talking for natural resource shipping for trade only to the United States specifically? They don't really outline what the security agreements are. They did break down what the definition of an invasion is. It could be troops on the ground. It could be even all the way to a cyber attack. So they don't really specify security agreements for what, and like they're not going to be able, like I think Nick said earlier when we were chatting, they're not going to be able to counter a cyber attack if it's the cyber attack's already happened, so they wouldn't have something in place. So there's a lot of unknowns there that are kind of concerning as far as that goes. Go ahead further. I lost my train of thought there.
Well, I'm really interested in what you think about Section 17. I'm really curious.
It's actually Section 15. I just went and found it. Increased duties on goods and services imported from the Russian Federation. So this is a penalty that is automatically enacted of 500% tariff that is added to any goods coming into this country from another country that has traded either uranium or petroleum-based products or oil with Russia. So any country, China is one of the big ones. China deliberately buys more oil than they need because they're actually trying to help Russia fund its war. So because China is buying petroleum from Russia, this bill, as soon as it's signed, would immediately put a 500% tariff on top of the other tariffs currently on China. Now, if you consider that our first trade war with China didn't go over 250%, and we lost it badly. And that's just China. What this bill either ignores or does not realize is that liquid natural gas, the number one importer of liquid natural gas from Russia is the EU. So the second this bill is signed, if it stays as it is, now it could be modified, but right now, the second this bill is signed, there's a 500% tariff on all goods from the EU. The EU raised the amount of liquid natural gas that it takes from Russia by 10% last year. The Guardian has an excellent article on this. The article is dated Thursday, January 9th of this year. And what the article talks about is how Europe has, as it agreed, gone off of gas from Russia, but they've switched to liquid natural gas, and they are importing more from Russia than at any point in history. This is the Guardian reporting this, and it's reporting this from this year. This bill would require, and nobody, not Congress, not the president, can stop or repeal those tariffs. The president can put a 180-day hold once on the tariffs. This tariffs would also affect South Korea, who imports 5% of all of the coal that is exported by Russia. It gets South Korea. So we would have to, we would immediately, as soon as this bill is signed, put a 500% tariff on the entire EU, on China, on Taiwan, who certainly doesn't need it from us. And by the way, as a reminder, for those of you who have been harping on Trump's tariffs, those tariffs are paid by us. Right. So it's actually a tax that we are imposing on ourselves. It will absolutely hurt those countries. Now, my concern is this. I'm aware that many people do not understand how tariffs work. 80 senators have signed on to this bill, and there's a difference between signing on and voting for. The rest may all vote for. You may get 100%. Not everybody wants to co-sponsor a bill, or co-sponsor is not necessarily indicative of whether, and how many co-sponsors you have is not indicative of whether or not a bill is going to pass. But the fact is 80 signed on with that. knowing that if that passes, the entire United States economy is going to collapse. That is, I am perfectly comfortable. I'm someone who usually, you watch my show, I hedge what I say. No, that is an instant 500% tariff. And again, there's no way this bill, I've gone through it 6 or 7 times now, has no means to repeal, no exceptions. The only exceptions are actually for Russia, where if Russia has a need, we can give other countries exceptions and they can sell uranium, energy, so on and so forth to Russia under humanitarian need. But if Germany is freezing to death, Germany cannot get an exception for energy from Russia. It just gets hit by a 500% tariff by the United States without any recourse. I have no idea.
There's no room in there for a humanitarian exemption on that aspect?
Nope. That's 16. 16 is the, let's see. Oh, no, maybe it was 17, as I had said originally. Sorry, it's section 17 in general. No later than 15 days after it's determined that a country has made that violation. So a country has purchased these products. Services, all goods and services imported to the United States from a country described in that section B, will receive at a tariff of a rate no less than the equivalent of 500%. Now, that is to be added to any other tariffs that are already there for other reasons. A country that is described in this section as knowingly selling, supplying, transferring, purchasing oil, uranium, natural gas, petroleum products, petrochemical products that originated in the Russian Federation. Right now, that's the entire EU. That's us. That is most of the countries we know. Now, I have no doubt that this is aimed at China and Iran because they're some of the biggest ones, but they're not the only ones. And this is any quantity. Now, the exceptions is under Section 18, support for the people of the Russian Federation. This act shall not apply with respect to provisions of humanitarian assistance to the people of Russia.
Oh, man. Oh, they flipped the frickin' verbiage on that.
Exception for intelligence activities. This act will not apply with respect to activities subject to the requirements under Title V of the National Security Act, and exception to comply with international obligations. That's the only one that might be interpreted in such a way that we don't have to. I mean, if we have another obligation with the EU when we've made a guarantee that we're not going to, but I'm still not. This is complicated, and so I'm sitting here going, one of several things has happened. Either I've missed something, which is entirely possible, or those 80 senators do not expect this bill to pass. Because if I am reading this correctly, and I mean, again, I've read it repeatedly, it's actually a reasonably short bill. Right. It's not that hard to read.
Yeah.
And it's really quite clear. Any country that does those things, and most countries are doing it. And it's not, and we know that. What is it? Germany, just to stick with Germany, in 2022, Germany imported 47 billion worth of goods. They are now down to less than 2.7 billion that they're importing from Russia. So they, in 2 years, they went down by more than 90%. So they did exactly what they said they would do, but they're still importing uranium. And uranium is one of the biggies on this list, which means we would have to tariff. Well, Germany's part of the EU. We already have to tariff the EU because of liquid nitrogen. Again, the article, I might share the screen because I think I have the article, but the article by The Guardian, the amount of liquid natural gas that Europe is importing, they are the biggest client for liquid natural gas of Russia, and they have been for the last 2 years. They just swapped over.
Right.
And the article from The Guardian is really interesting, and it points out something that I think has to be said, which is the EU has said that they support Ukraine and said that they're willing to, and they went off of the gas so that they're not supporting attacks in Ukraine. But now it's discovered that, and Germany got 4 shipments of liquid natural gas that they denied getting, and the Guardian found and said no, they're importing more than they're saying. So now, that means the United States has to tariff basically everybody we know 400%. I'll make an exception for us because I don't know how we're going to tariff ourselves for violating this thing unless we decide to stop overnight once
Right.
it's decided. And I do not see how the U.S. economy, given what, and I saw your face when I talked about the tariffs on China, and we never went over 250.
Right.
This is 500 on top of what's already there, and then all our partners. Now, either none of those 80 senators can do math, and I don't believe that, or I missed something, which is entirely possible. There's something going on. Either way, there's something going on I don't understand. Or they don't expect the bill to pass, so they want their constituents to know that they support Ukraine while getting behind a bill, or they think that they can or will change it. This is something that Trump would love, so they put it in so that Trump really likes it. The problem is Trump has no say in it right now. So what does it matter if it's in the bill right now? And I personally would vote for a good bill, but I would never co-sign or co-sponsor a bill that had this in it.
Now, I have a question for you. With this being in the bill, which is really, really concerning, how would you talk to representatives to try to find ways to amend this?
What is really good about this bill is one of the first things Trump did was take sanctions off of a number of people, a number of institutions. This bill puts all those sanctions back on, and it looks like he can't touch them. So much of this bill is good. I like the idea. The idea appears to be, let's isolate everybody who's dealing with Russia. The problem is everybody's dealing with Russia, including us. Nobody likes to admit it, but so we're just going to isolate ourselves. Section 17 has to be removed. There's no, you can't lower it to 100%. You can't, I mean, if you want, you could have it at a token 10%, but at that point, other countries are laughing their asses off going, you're buying uranium from Russia and you're giving us a 10% tariff, which, by the way, you're paying because we're doing the same thing you are. So I think Section 17 has to be completely removed. How you have that kind of discussion, for me, there's something missing. Something this catastrophic does not enter a bill accidentally. Lindsey Graham is definitely a support. I do not like Lindsey Graham, but Lindsey Graham is a dyed-in-the-wool supporter of Ukraine. So he's not deliberately trying to tank it, and he's not, I have no doubt he's doing the best he can. So there is something, and that section is, as you had pointed out, it's in both sections. My suspicion is it's one of the reasons why so few people, including Democrats, have signed on to this bill in the House. In the House, they've got a much bigger problem, which is they're all up for re-election every 2 years. In the Senate, it takes a lot longer for people to. In the Senate, they can get behind it, and then if the House doesn't, they can say, well, look, I sponsored a bill. I co-sponsored a bill that was going to do all this stuff. It almost looks like a poison pill that they put into the bill to kill the bill so that it doesn't pass, but people can. So it's like a school lunch bill that says we're gonna put $10 billion into school lunches, and we're gonna find Osama bin Laden's body, give him CPR, and bring him back to life. And then they send that bill out, and then everybody, or sorry, it actually goes the other way around. But they find a way to somebody kills the bill and says, "Oh, you're against school lunches." No, I was for $1 billion for school lunches. I just didn't want to revive Osama bin Laden. So it's the poison pill that makes someone. I don't see, and again, normally I would expect with something that big in a bill, I would expect a sponsor definitely a co-sponsor to show that, you know, that they can get behind this and they believe it can be changed, but then just saying, look, we'll change this in committee. All 80 standing behind that statement, with no way to know you don't know for certain what's going to, you don't have to endorse it until it comes to a vote. But we've got 80 who are endorsing a spectacular bill, except for that.
Do you think Lindsey Graham set it up that way just to gaslight the Democratic Party in the House and the Senate? When
I don't, because I think while he'd be willing to do it under most he really does support Ukraine. He really does. So he wouldn't, because this bill, if that isn't removed and this bill dies, it gives the president more ammunition to come out and say, see, nobody supports Ukraine. Of course we don't. And since Lindsey Graham does support Ukraine, he does not want to help the president with that agenda.
Would it help targeting representatives that are in the committees that about this, getting amendments?
I absolutely. It's not. Okay. I don't think until the committees, and I mean, you never know. It's either a committee on either side could take care of this. It's just really bizarre to find something that unacceptable in a bill that's supported by anybody, that it isn't like a, you know, what was the other one? Somebody voted. Oh yeah, the bill to change the national anthem to put Trump's name in it. Right. Okay, you know, nobody expected that bill to go anywhere. This looks like a very legitimate bill, but that 17 is, and again, so 17 is the any country that deals with petroleum products or uranium with Russia in either direction gets a 500% tariff from the United States on all their products, everything. The president can waive it at his discretion once for no more than 180 days, and that's it. Congress cannot waive it. Congress can't grant exceptions. And the only exceptions are in Section 18, and it's to help the Russian people for humanitarian aid.
Got it. So would this be maybe putting a pause on asking for co-sponsors, but maybe asking for amendments to section, you said 17?
Yeah, Section 17 has to be removed.
Okay.
And again, I get it. If you don't, especially to the people who believe that what Trump is doing when he does a tariff, he's a big, you know, again, I'd say that this was to appease Trump, but they don't have to appease Trump right now. The only reason to appease Trump is to get him to put pressure on Johnson to pass it, because Johnson could kill this. If Johnson says no, it's done. It's done. It doesn't matter what the Senate says. Having said that, Johnson's actually been in support of Ukraine for the last, so I think he might get behind this bill. So the question is, what the hell is that doing there?
Right.
If it passes that way, I mean, I'm not joking. The U.S. is gone. Yeah, at least if we follow it. I mean, the number of laws that Trump ignores, I mean, who knows? But I mean, if we really put a 500% tariff on the EU and on basically everybody else we know.
Right.
Do we know the percentage of bills that go through the House and the Senate that do not get amendments put into them? That just go straight through?
Well, it's not. So the amendment gets added. What we're really talking about is it's not. It needs to be fixed in the committee. So the committee needs to do it, and then you know, the amendments afterwards isn't going to be. So the committee just needs to. You need to get a committee to remove this and then pass it, and then make sure it gets through reconciliation with the amendment removed. I can't imagine anybody on either side, short of white nationalist accelerationist, who would want to pass that amendment. Or sorry, because it's not an amendment; it's a section. So an amendment isn't going to. Well, actually, no, that's not true. You could amend it to add exemptions to anybody we currently have positive relations with, or something like that.
500% tariff on China would definitely put us in the realm of having absolutely being forced into purchasing United States products and being short on things that we have in our everyday creature comforts and also necessities in our lives. So it might be part of the plan too.
Keep in mind,
Yeah.
here's the other problem. Right now, Russia is trying to jumpstart BRICS, and China is going to be a part of it, and so a whole bunch of I think Iran is part of it. They're trying to get get off the dollar as the world reserve currency. If we put a 500% tariff on the EU and on China and on Taiwan and on South Korea, nobody's going to want to use the dollar anymore. Everyone's going to switch. The dollar's worthless. You can't trade to or from with us anyway. So all of a sudden, this idea that's completely laughable about getting off the dollar as the world reserve currency, and if we get off the dollar as the world reserve currency, we are going to have a depression reasonably similar to the last one. And the reason is we have too much debt. Our debt is high, but we can support it because the dollar is the world reserve currency, so we can manage inflation. We haven't seen 22% inflation. There are countries who see that. There are modern countries who see that. We don't see that because our everybody wants our currency, so they're willing to pay a premium for it. The day that stops, we have a very big problem.
So how do we advocate for this bill and get the best of both worlds? It sounds like this is going to be level 2, and it's fine. Like, level 2 needs to happen on the stream right now as far as advocacy goes, because we already covered the basics on the last interview with Kim. So can we push this bill through and have it not completely destroy the United States of America and help Ukraine?
Let me put it. Here's what I would do, and this is a tough thing to do because I used to work for a lot of volunteer groups. First presidential campaign I ever volunteered on was the I want to say John Kerry, but it was the one before that, the Gore campaign, also the Kerry campaign. I volunteered organizations on all of them, and then I was a district coordinator for the 3rd Congressional District in Connecticut for the Obama campaign in the primaries versus Hillary Clinton. There's something, the enthusiasm of your people only stays really so long as you keep finding things for them to do. And if you pause, unfortunately, you start to lose it, and then getting it back is really hard. The problem is if you support something that ends up having a serious problem, especially if you support it before you know whether or not it's got a problem, then you can kill motivation later when everybody finds out that this bill that they've been behind has actually got something bad, and the people that are directing them either didn't know or didn't tell them. So this is one of those where I would wait until it's out of committee before saying. So what I'd be honest and I say, look at what this bill's got. All of those assholes that Trump let off the hook, said can do business in the U.S. again, that aluminum guy, the banks, all this other stuff that he's pulling, all the sanctions, it puts them all back. It puts in security language that looks actually reasonably tenable. It talks seriously about the things we need to talk about. It does have this thing that we don't understand. We don't know why it's there. That has to be sorted. But wow, are they close? So let's wait and see how that's sorted. But we've got a lot to be excited about because clearly the senators, and it started with Lindsey Graham. So it started in the Senate. They know what they're talking about. We just have to make sure that we understand, because this thing isn't going to fly. It's not that it's not going to fly with me. The Senate and the House would have to be insane to pass this. This one section. So let's see what they do with it. Let's make sure that they're serious about this bill, and then if they are, so that everybody knows what it is, but you don't throw everybody into coaling until you understand what's really happening with this bill. It's entirely possible that there's a section, a preamble, Roman numeral 1. Nick Souter is an idiot who didn't read ahead of time that this said the only countries that will meet this condition are countries that we think are assholes. And because Nick's an asshole, we're going to tariff him up 500%. It may be I missed that. I don't think so, but it's possible. But at any rate, it's just one of those where I don't want to kill excitement, because it's the one thing, it is the most precious resource you've got. It's the hardest thing to get. It's harder to get than time. in what you're doing. Time is something you actually have more of than enthusiasm, or
Yeah,
is
but
less. Yeah,
this
yeah.
is why these discussions are so important, to just really get into the bill and break them down. Because, there's people like me who are just kind of learning, this in depth. And, I remember we talked the other day, I'm like, do we have concerns about, and it's just, it's a hard thing. So, a lot of places, people are just posting memes and saying, do this, but they're not saying why, or, what is questionable. So I think it's really important to have these discussions. Um, but yeah, I still want to know, like, if we don't push this bill right now as it is, one thing that has been really helpful for me is to call my representative's office and go over the bills with them. And a lot of times they're willing to do that. And the more they get to know me, they're willing to do that. So it might be good for other people too to call their representative's office and say, I have really big concerns about Section 17 and what this means, and what is your interpretation, and
Yeah.
how can we get this amended? Would that be a good way to advocate right
I,
now?
I think that's a great idea. I spent a lot of time myself looking, and I suffer from well, if I couldn't find it, then nobody else can. No, I think that's a great idea. If you know a congressman and someone who can talk to you about it, like I said, for me, it's just that it's this huge red flag. I don't even know what it means. Does it? They absolutely put forward bills just so they can say they voted for it, that they know cannot pass. Is
Right.
that what they're doing here? I don't know. It doesn't, to have 80 senators get on board with something that, wow. Again,
Yeah.
either I missed something, and I've been researching all day on it, and I can't find anybody who's talking about this section. They've talked about everything else. Nobody
Right.
has mentioned this section,
Same.
which is also
Same.
suspicious.
It's also the
Yeah.
last section on the bill, correct? Section 17 is the last one, right?
There's exceptions after that, and then implementing penalties, termination authority.
So in the exceptions, there's nothing in the exceptions that can explain that.
Nope. Exceptions just says ABC. A is what I told you, humanitarian
Aid for Russia.
assistance. B is exception for intelligence activities. And C is exceptions to comply with international obligations.
So interest and contracts.
Possible, yeah. So so that might be a way around it. I don't know, but it's when it gives examples, it actually says obligations between the United Nations and the United States of America. It doesn't actually list anything else, and it seems to be discussing assumptions to comply with international. Oh,
What do you
alien,
see?
the alien.
What do you see?
The exemption is in New York. There's a small plot of land in New York that does not belong to the United States. That land has been delegated international territory. It's called the United Nations. It's illegal for the president of the United States, for example, to deny entry to the U.S. for someone who's going to the UN, because the UN is not territory inside the United States. So this exemption is actually an exemption for any business being transacted at or in the UN with Russia.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That makes it even worse, doesn't it?
Sort of. They have to make that exception. It's the same thing as Trump once denied the Iranian ambassador entry to the U.S. Like that violates our charter with the UN.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. The UN wouldn't be in the U.S. but for we've made certain obligations to the UN that there's some things they can do that our laws do not apply to, despite the fact that they're in New York, and that's what this exception is. It says admission of alien if the admission is under the the agreement between the United Nations in the U.S. in regarding the headquarters of the United Nations, signed at Lake Success on January 1947. So it's basically recognizing that the UN is its own entity and is exempt from anything that we're saying here.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so basically we got to stand on this one, and well, obviously this gives us reason to contact our representatives and get a dialogue with them at least. So it probably
Yeah.
needs to start there.
And let me know
Yeah.
if somebody says something. I mean, the one that I looked for was because all of Section 17 only applies to where it's been declared that somebody's in violation. So I looked up to see how it's declared, and that's really pretty clear how it's declared.
Right.
It's not, and it's not. Yeah. There's no leeway.
So, Kim, how would we go about asking? Would we call them and ask for their interpretation and a response on Section 17 of the bill, and then go from there?
Yeah, I think so. I think, building those relationships with the people who answer the phones is number one. So you can have these longer conversations. Like just an example of last year when aid was, being thrown at the house in April, and it was just a really quick thing. The contact that I had at my representative's office said, I'll read the bill tonight, you read the bill tonight, and we'll circle back tomorrow. And we had a conversation about it. What was good, what was not so good, so I mean, I think that's important discussions to have right now. Especially since this is really, really questionable. Yeah, so I would start there personally.
Okay.
This is, and well, here's what I would do. First of all, I wouldn't ask for their interpretation, because that gives them a little extra rope. And then later, if you come in and you said that this, well, I said that was my interpretation. So just say, what does it mean?
Okay.
Right.
What does it mean? But what I'd do is I'd say, okay, here's an article I read, and you can see this. This is The Guardian. It's this year, January. European imports of liquefied natural gas from Russia at, quote, record levels. So what I would say is, I read this article in The Guardian. It's current. It's record levels. Does this mean we're going to sanction them? Because that's what I'm seeing. And how do we operate if we do that? And just point blank say, this is why I'm concerned, because we have to, by the RETA, we have to sanction. And this gets into how much, and it's all coming from Russia. What is it? 17.8 metric tons of ultra cold Russian gas docked at European ports in last year, and they're going up 20% for this year. This isn't going to drop to zero as soon as we sign this. It's not going to drop to zero within 2 or 3 years of signing this, and at most they have 180 days. So I'd say, look, this is, and again, there are numbers. You can get the numbers for, well, this right off the bat. Okay, China and Europe, are we saying 500? My read is 500% tariff on our allies. Is that correct? And if so, what do we do about that? How is that? Is that what you think we should do? Am I reading it wrong? Is there a fix? What's going on?
Right. Yeah. Is it possible to drop that link in the chat?
Yeah.
Is always a good tool.
I will drop it in 2 places. If I have the perms, I will drop it in the live chat. If I don't, I'll send it to Bombsheller, and she can drop it.
Okay.
It is okay. So it is in that chat for the audience to see, and then what I will do is I will drop it on the internal chat so that you can get a copy of it inside here, because it is a good article. And again, it's The Guardian. It's not a bastion of pro-Russian sentiment. Yeah.
I feel like calling my representative right now and leaving a voicemail.
If somebody gets an answer to this, I'd love to know. I have to tell you, actually, I almost did not come to the stream because I was reading this. So I was like, I don't want to have to say these things.
Why?
It's a great bill. Otherwise, because I hate being the bearer of bad news. It's a great bill.
No, it's this kind of stuff is so important. And when you're reading a bill, like, things can be missed. So I mean, this is so important. It's a very important discussion, and I wonder if it's possible, if we could just kind of look into it a little bit more and
Yeah.
come back and like discuss what we found, just so people have like, um, a good indication of what it means and, kind of find out.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not actively advocating. We're a news organization. We are absolutely pro-Ukraine, but
Yeah.
but we're not actively advocating. Um, but it's an interesting story, and we do a lot of Ukraine stuff. So we have some researchers. I'm going to ask them to look into this. I think
Awesome.
we're not going to know anything until the committees start tearing into this thing. Again, Lindsey Graham, I do not trust Lindsey Graham on anything except one topic, and that's Ukraine. So I would absolutely believe that he'd put in a poison pill bill, except for Ukraine. I do not believe he'd do it for Ukraine. So, and if this started in the House, that would be one thing. If this started in the House, then Graham knows the bill's going nowhere, but he supports Ukraine and he doesn't want to be on the record as not signing this, so he'll support the bill knowing it's dead. But it didn't. It started with Graham. So I am confused. I am really confused. So for me, they say it's actually next week that they're supposed to be getting into it, and I don't know if the story I was reading was from like yesterday or today, which would change what next week meant. But I want to see what happens in the committees before I commit to whether or not this can be something good, because somebody has an intention with this bill, and I do not know what that intention is.
Right.
Well, I know. Yeah. I can tell you what I'm going to do right now. I am going to call my representative right now.
All right, let's do it.
It's like it's 1 a.m. But okay.
Leave a message.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Do they got an answering machine there?
I would imagine.
Hi, Mr. Thompson. My name. I'm calling in regards to HR. 2548 and Section 17 of the bill. I would like clarification on the bill, whether or not that means that we will be tariffing our allies up to a 500%. Please give me a call back at All right, it's that easy.
I'm dying to know what he says.
Well, we'll find out. They're usually pretty quick if you make a phone call and leave a voicemail. I've noticed it takes longer. Doesn't it take like a week longer, Kim, if you write an email?
Oh, yeah. It could take longer than that. I'm still getting emails from my contact in the office, whose job it is to do that, from like months ago. And it's the same one I got last year. So it's like, I call them swag emails because we all get the same one.
Yeah, I got an email back from him as well when I was at Sacramento when we group called with the Sunflower Society. It was way quicker. And matter of fact, I didn't even know how he had my email on record. Then I remembered I went and had a town hall and gave my information to him then, and I didn't think they were going to keep it. I was like, what? That was the first one where I was showing the video of my dead friend in Ukraine crying. I'm like, help me. Well, the first time I was
Right.
advocating, and they actually kept my information there and got back to
Yeah.
me. So it does help to call. You got to call and find out, guys. It was that easy. How long did that take me to do? 30 seconds? A minute?
Yeah.
A minute? Because I had to
Yeah.
wait, right? It took me a minute, and that builds the dialogue with your representative. And like you said, the people in the office, they get to know you. You get to know them. They start telling you a little extra. Maybe if Marjorie Taylor Greene screams when you walk by, her office. If you can hear things coming out the door. What type of couch does JD Vance like the best, and whatnot.
What brand? Yeah. Okay.
So what else do we have as far as bills or anything that we need to discuss, Kim?
That's pretty much it. I mean, there's some bills that are just really old. So, but that was, I think, the genocide one, just on the aspect of being a human being. I mean, that is a statement, and I think we really strongly need to make that statement that we do not want to align with Russia, that what's happening in Ukraine is a genocide, and what's happened in Finland years ago from Russia was a genocide, and we need to shed light on that and just tell them we're not going to stand for it.
So what do we got coming up next as far as what we can do for advocacy? Is there the Action Summit's coming up as well?
Yeah, yeah. So the Ukraine Action Summit, like I spoke about before, was it's from the American Coalition for Ukraine. And again, if you can get to DC, please do. It's so much fun, and hundreds of people come. I think 600 came last time. And then there was more of us from home, just holding meetings online. So you can do that too. But they desperately need people at that time. They'll start finding people in August. So check out the American Coalition for Ukraine and get on board with us.
Cool. Well, anybody got anything else on this? I'm really glad we had this conversation and talked about it. Guys in the chat, you guys, I mean, look, how quick was that for me to make a phone call real quick and just ask a question with our representative, see if you get a response, see if they even know. Maybe they'll call you and say, we have no clue what that's about. Or maybe they can explain it real quick. No, that's not what that means. This is what it means. And then if we get an answer, I challenge anybody in my chat, if you get an answer to the question I just asked, hit me up in Discord, say, hey, I got a response back. This is what they're saying. And then we'll air it. We'll do another air because we got to do a follow-up on this. We can't just leave this hanging now.
Yeah. Yeah. And have these conversations. I find people all the time, people in the know who, work in politics, and, I bounce ideas off of them. Like, just look who you know and have these conversations.
Right. And if anything, Nick, I appreciate you being here because it reminds us to slow down and pay attention, because we can be emotionally polarized. I know I am. What? There's a bill for Ukraine? Fuck yeah. What do you mean there's not going to be anything on the shelves in the entire United States of America? Well, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And going through legislation is so hard. I don't want people to feel bad if they don't understand, because a lot of Congress members don't understand themselves, and they have people they pay to, explain things to them. So, you learn as you go.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, guys, if you don't have anything else, we could probably wrap it up. It's 10 p.m., almost 10 p.m. Pacific here. This was a great chat. This was very informative.
Definitely.
Man, I almost wanted to use that other meme I made, Nick, with the goat, because you seem to be the goat right now.
Why am I the goat? What did I do to become the goat?
I feel like you are the goat because you are extremely knowledgeable, extremely. Like the wisdom of a pharaoh's cat, if you will.
Okay, then do the cat. Don't do the goat. LJ is going to try to set me on fire if you turn me into a goat. She's probably got like a bow and arrow with the flaming thing on the end, so that like wherever I am, it's got GPS on it, so she's like, wherever I am, the thing will just.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I'm so glad you showed up and like, explained this to us further, because it's so important. And I appreciate you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad it was helpful and productive.
Heck
so
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys. Well, if you ain't got nothing else, guys, make sure to go and subscribe to Nick in Time, independent media. Can we get a plug? Independent news media. We'll get a plug on Nick's channel in the chat. In Time. Look for In Time. We'll get the plug. It's also in the description down below. All the resources are there if you need to read the bill yourself, if you have understanding of it. If you need to call your rep, the switchboard is there so you can find. There should also be a link to find your rep as well. And we'll leave it with that. Final words, Nick?
Guys, we're still kind of a small channel, but either way, you know what? For every single content creator, if you like their content, like and subscribe, because if you stop doing it, someday they'll stop coming on. They all say it because they need it. Like, subscribe, and once they get monetized, throw in a $2 super chat if you can. If you like the content, you don't have to, but they ask for it because it helps, and that's why when I'm a guest on somebody else's stream, I always try to remind people that we don't ask because we like asking. We really don't. It's the worst part of the whole fucking thing. But
Right.
If you like what you saw tonight, like, subscribe, and send it to a friend. Let someone know.
Kim,
That's it.
final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to remind people what AOC said in January, that Congress members are looking for sustained enthusiasm. So just call. Even if you call and say, I want my congressperson to support Ukraine, or if something happens, they're signing on to something that is good, call and thank them. That goes very far. But just keep calling, because there's a lot of people who are calling against Ukraine right now. And we want to keep them motivated to support Ukraine.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming to my stream today. I had a lot of fun, and guys, thank you again. We'll see you again. We got to cover this again, so plan on part 2. Once we get a better feel for this, plan on part 2. And if it's pushable, it's pushable. If it's not, then we gotta let the truth be known.
Yep.
Okay,
Amen.
guys. I will talk to you later. Thanks for joining again.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. All right. Well, hey, pretty informative stuff going on there. I was really glad we just had that conversation. Really glad. One more time, guys. We do have a fundraiser pinned in the chat for Paige. Paige is over in Ukraine right now. She is there. And when she is there, she can buy product and stuff cheaper and get it right to the hands that need to be fast. And she's got like 14 grand that she still needs worth of supplies. We got 2 drones recently. We got 2 drones to, these aren't the drones, but I'll show you to who they're going to. The 14th Mechanized Brigade. Where is the 14th? Here's the 14th Mechanized Brigade. We've been helping since my very first fundraiser. Here's another pick. 14th Mechanized Brigade. They've got 2 drones right now that we got them. They got tons of medical supplies. Everything they asked for. We are probably we're going to pick up a car for Ukraine fundraiser later on this month. Yeah. There they are. There's the guys. And they're great. And we got a little insight. We got some birthdays coming up in the 14th, so I want to do something special for them. So we'll get into that a little later once I talk to Paige about it. They like drones, and they fight Russians, and they are in a really tough area. She's also helping numerous other brigades. So if you could, please, it's real easy to donate. It's in the description. It's pinned in the chat. Just go here. Make your payment amount, put from Chungus's community or whatever you want. Put wherever you want there. Send it to her. Then she can do extra help while she's over there. I'm so glad I had this freaking panel today. We had a bunch of takes, bunch of information. If we got anything from this, we need to start communicating with our representatives more. We have to push the envelope, make a rapport with them, get comfortable with them, get on a first name basis with whoever's answering the calls. Say, hey, just to let you know, I'm going to start calling a lot and talking to you, and this is why. Tell them, and they're there for you, right? That management above us, our government, they are there for you. We don't work for them. They work for us. But be cordial when you call. Be amicable. You don't have to be like, oh, let me get my camera on. I'm over here waving my hands around. There we are. There I am. Yeah, be cordial when you call them. You know, and just have a good time and chill with them. You know, talk. Hey, you know, this is my concerns. This is what I want to know, especially with this HR 2548 Section 17. Give them a call. Let me know in my Discord. We got a brand new Discord channel. Join my Discord. Go in there. Tag me. Tell me what your representative said if you can contact them in regards specifically to HR 2548 Section 17. Say, hey, I heard that this particular section will make us tariff all of our allies because we all get resources from Russia in one way or another, unfortunately, and that's the ugly part of the truth to it. And see what they say. All right. Yeah, I think that's all I got really for you guys. Thanks for coming tonight. Shout out to Natalia for waking up super early in Ukraine and giving us an update on the general feel and the vibes over there. It's always good to have Ukrainian perspective, and that's kind of how I want to play it. I didn't want to do like a Ukraine update and just give my perspective. I want to have like firsthand accounts of what's going on there. People are there right now currently, the feeling of it, kind of like from a human aspect of what the people think, what the people feel. You know, what else can we do basically, and hear it from them. So plan on more of that, plan on more guests, plan on more panels, and that's about all I got for you guys. Oh yeah, and I got a little outro. I finished a little outro this morning. It's nothing fancy, but it's gonna be there for a little bit until I get things situated with my outros, because I got a lot of intros but no outros. Once again, guys, thank you for coming. I will see you on the next one. Take care. And please remember, call your reps and join the Discord and let me know what they said. I'm super curious about that. Okay? All right. Bye, guys.
They wave their flags like they own the sky, shouting loud but they don't know why. Books untouched, their minds run dry. Truth's a stranger, they pass right by. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts where the truth won't lie. They scream of love for the land they claim, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. They chant the words they barely know, hollow pride in a shallow show, pointing fingers where the winds don't blow, building walls where the rivers flow. Oh, false flags flying high, empty hearts where the truth won't lie. They scream of love for the land they claim, but their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds bring only shame. But their wicked deeds
Why would you think Michelle Obama's a man?
Well, do a little research. Just do a little research.
But that's like out there.
What's out there is the fact that her walking out in a skirt, and there's an obvious bulge where there shouldn't be one.
Another day. Another day. Just run till you take your last breath. There's no time to sit around being lazy. Renegade junk is gonna grind out daisy. Survival schemes, raiding dreams like you don't care. Zombies crumbing on some bodies like a nightmare. Grabbing loot in the spawn might just fight there. And the goons shooting at me, yeah, we're out there. Keep the feet dry, light a fire if you're crazy. Survivors out there shooting, yeah, that's day. They try to take my loot, but I'm fast and I'm sneaky. Hearing footsteps in the woods, yeah, that's creepy. But I'm a wolf and all of you looking sheepy. Knock you one gone, now you feeling little sleepy. Waking up, your loot's gone, don't go crazy. Another day, another death, yeah, that's Daisy. Hear the bullets crack by your head, make you screech. Run, cover, keep your gun by your reach. Wear your armor and a helmet is what we preach. Or get your ass sent back to the beach. Clean your water, cook your food, wash your hands. Keep one eye on the bad guy and your friends. Watch for killers who shoot